Hi, Martin here. Today I want to show you how to build your own engine lifting fixture. And this is for the Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, and Mitsubishi 4.7 engines like I got here. Here's the engine fixture that I've made, and I'll show you how to make one. And I've done this completely for zero money at all. I had everything on hand, you know, the scrap metal sitting around. I even had the little D-rings we're going to use right here. And this works out really well. Makes it a little safer, sturdier when you're pulling an engine or putting it back in your vehicle. Miller Tools actually does sell one of these, and I didn't even know nothing about this until a friend of mine, Cat Stevens, showed me pictures of the one he made. Now you're thinking, Cat Stevens, I've heard that name before. You probably have. He's a DJ and friend of mine. So it gave me the idea, well, heck, I ought to build one too, right? So like I was saying, Miller Tools does have one of these that you could purchase. They're $500. I've seen used ones on eBay for $275. That's the lowest I've seen so far, and as high as a little over $400. So I saved myself basically $500, and it just took me some time and nothing but scrap material. All right, well, let's get started. All right, a few things you're going to need for the project. I just got some angle iron here. You're going to need some flat stock. This particular is 3/8 of an inch thick, 1.5 inches wide, and then at least one D-ring. These are just 3/8 diameter, I'm pretty sure. Yes, 3/8 diameter, or 10 millimeter. And then I got a couple larger miscellaneous nuts. I'll show you what we need those for in a minute. Now these 4.7 liter engines generally have these bolts already mounted in here. These are great lift points. Now most of the 4.7 liters from 2007 and earlier all have these bolts in them. And these are lift point bolts. Now you may see a ground cable hooked to this, or even another battery cable like through the alternator. They'll use this just as a place to secure the cable. Now if your engine doesn't have these, you can go down to your local pickup part and pick those up, and you probably get them for little and nothing. Alright, the first piece we need is this angle piece that goes across from one lift point to the other. Then, which is a 14.5 inch long piece. Then the distance center to center for each hole is 13.25 inches from this lift point to this one over here. So I went ahead and drilled those out. Now something I want you to notice, oh by the way, this is where those nuts are going. What they're doing is raising it up just high enough that we clear the intake manifold right here. So that sits on there like that. Now one thing to note, that these bolts are not straight across from each other. They're off by, it could be about an inch. If you can see, the gap here on this side of the intake manifold is very small. Over here it's a little bit larger. So when you drill these holes, I drilled this one here back to the farthest as I can. And this one is far forward. And that straightens out this piece of metal somewhat. Now the nut I placed underneath here, I am actually going to weld that to this plate, and that way I don't have to worry about losing it, because it needs to be there anyway, and that way they don't get lost. I also scribed the line right here. This is the center between the two bolts, and you know, it's perfectly center on the engine, and we're going to weld our next piece to that, right in the center of that line. Now I have another piece of angle that we're going to weld right here to the center, and then I'm going to get it, after I tack weld it up here and get this right where I want it, because I want to be directly over this stud sticking out here, and this is going to be our other anchor point right here. So I'll end up cutting this to the correct length, and then we're going to weld a plate from here down to here. Alright, we'll get a couple spot welds on here. Yep. Looks good. Okay, I had to remove a little bit of material right back here so I was able to push this over, because remember, this piece is angling, so I can't just cut it square and put it on here. So now what I want is this edge to be right in the middle of this bolt, because this bolt is the center of the engine, and I want to keep that line going down. So right there, that level on there, about right. Yep. As you can see, that's about the center of the bolt right there. Okay, I got that all welded up solid right there. Now what I'm going to do with this is, since I don't really know exactly where the center of the engine, when I lift that engine up, I want that engine to set level. So I don't exactly know where that is. So I'm going to add multiple pull points on this. So what I did is I took a scrap piece that I had cut off of this right here, like this one right here. Cut it down to this right here. And then I'm going to place this on the back side here, just like that, and add another lifting point right here. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to make this and this lifting point turn into another one. So there'll actually be 3 here. And then I'm going to also take another piece of that scrap, and I think I'll throw one like right in there somewhere, or right there, because between here and here, I'm sure I'm going to, be a good place for a balanced engine right in there. Okay, I'm getting this last piece right here set up. I went ahead and made a mark where the halfway point is of that bolt, and then I'll drill a hole right here. And then after I do that, and I'll place it back on here and get this set up exactly where I want it, and make my final marks on here. Take it off, tack weld it in place, and then test fit it one more time before I weld this completely solid. I also came up a little short on this piece, about 1/8 of an inch, if I wanted this to be perfectly square, which I do. So I added a small leftover piece right here, bumped it out at 1/8 inch, and welded it on there. You'll see it better after I get this tack welded on. But yeah, you can't get them all right, but it's coming out pretty good. All right, while making this hole down here, I discovered something, that with a single hole, it's not going to go on, because it's not going to allow you to bring it back and drop it onto the 2 studs back here. So not only did I have to make a slot like you see in here, so what I did is I drilled another hole up here and then cut this section out in between with the plasma. I'm going to have to actually make another hole large enough that right there will pass through. And then as you're moving this whole fixture backward through that larger hole, it'll allow this to drop down on here. And then as it does drop down, then it'll move out where you can raise this up and bolt it right here at the very bottom of that slot. I went ahead and drilled another hole right here. This is where we're going to now take a 13/16 and drill right here. Drill that out, and hopefully that kind of cuts into this here, or I'll just have to take the plasma to finish out the edge. We'll see how it goes. Okay, I ran into like a couple problems with this. I mean, it's working out. For one, I had to open up that hole right there, that much, to make this work, and I'll show you. but I took out a little too much. I got carried away with my plasma. So I took a washer I had laying around just like this one here, and made a couple cuts on it, cut out the slot into it, and then cut the top part of this off and welded it into place. Okay, so that fixed it. It works. Now I still want to do is do some more welding on this. I'm going to make that hole a little bit smaller, just to make it look more aesthetic. I'm being a little particular about what I'm doing here, because right now I can bolt this on and it works. Okay, I got that all welded up and I'm pretty happy with it now, the way it turned out. There's the back side of it. And then I also added some welds right here to this edge right here, as you can see, on both sides. Kind of thickened it up a little bit. You can see right there. You can see how I thickened that up. Yeah. Didn't really need to, but just a little insurance. All right, now let me show you how to bolt this on. And then we're going to lift it up with an engine hoist I got right here. And I want to thank Scott Carpenter for that. Good friend of mine, lent it out to me. So now I got me an engine hoist whenever I need one. Thanks, Scott. All right, so when you take this thing here, slide it on here. So you bring it over this stud right here. You're going to bring it down nice and low, right like that. Once you get it over that, then bring it down on the two studs back here. And then when you get it over top of the other two studs, now you can lift it up just like that. I'd recommend putting that one on first. Okay, with the engine hoist over the lifting fixture here, I'm going to try this most rearward hook first and just see how it goes. We'll lift it up. We'll see how balanced it is. Maybe I got to move it to where it's hooked to both of these like that, and that might work better. Or we got to move it to this one here. All right, let's give it a shot. Well, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it is tipping slightly forward. So I'm going to try going to the center one, or maybe we'll just go ahead and jump to this one right here and just see what that does. That actually looks really good right there. It's everything, it's a little bit down, but that's gonna be perfect. I mean, you can handle this engine nice and steady. I really like this. This has turned out cool. You could still handle the engine and tip it a little bit one way or the other, because you're gonna have to finesse it into location when you install one of these, or when you're pulling one out. You got to give it that little bit of a wiggle to break it loose from the transmission. In my opinion, it was well worth making. Another thing I really like about it is that the engine sets perfectly level. You don't have to sit there and teeter it one way or the other. It looks really good. Real happy I made this. Definitely for the future projects coming up. This engine's eventually going into my Grand, and well, I got to pull the other engine out. So there you have that. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I sure appreciate the thumbs up. That helps out the channel immensely. And if you never subscribed to me before, please hit that subscribe button right down there and that little bell symbol right next to it. That way you get notified the next time I upload a video. And I'm also an Amazon affiliate. Please check out in the description where I have links to products and tools that we used in the video. And you can do all your Amazon shopping through one of those links, and then that way the channel earns a small commission. I sure appreciate that as well. Well, I hope to see you on the next one, and thanks for watching.